Alright, welcome to Stay Tuned Garage. My name is Alex, and this is my brand new used 1996 Mustang GT. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a walk around of the car. So you can see it has an aftermarket front bumper with like a little lip on it. Has aftermarket side skirts. As you can see, it is the 4.6 liter V8, and it's not the best engine out there, but it definitely works. So you can see it has this little duckbill type of rear spoiler, and it has also an aftermarket rear bumper, or rear, it's not even a bumper, it's just like a bumper extension. Same with the front one. And front headlights are really beat up. This one's even missing the side marker. Paint is horrible throughout the whole car. Clear coat is fading on the top as well. The rear spoiler, so you can see it has like this black, it feels like, I think this is the original color, and I don't know if you can tell, but the paint looks like it like burned off or came off from the sun, and it's just been kind of like peeling off. Clear coat back here is pretty messed up as well. So as of now, I am planning to just pretty much either paint the car, which is very unlikely because I'm not gonna pay someone to paint it, but I think I'm gonna be wrapping the car. And about the kit, I think I am going to refurbish the kit in a way. I like the spoiler. I'm not too fond of this front bumper or the rear bumper. The side skirts are alright, but I don't feel like the side skirts would look good without a front bumper, and vice versa, the bumper wouldn't look good without the side skirts. So I might go stock body, but then I'd have to plug the holes because the previous owner or whoever installed this bumper just put screws in. But yeah, so I might either refurbish and fix the body kit and wrap that and then wrap the car under that, or I might just fix up the normal body and wrap the car and just keep the rear spoiler. I'm not sure yet, but that'll be something for the future. Okay, so a little bit about the car. Like I said earlier, it's a 1996 Mustang GT with a 4.6 liter V8. That's very important. It is a stick shift T45 Borg Warner, something like that. One of those American names. And the reason I bought this car, I already have my Honda. It's actually sitting right here, right next to me. It's beautiful. I have both of my cars in the driveway. Never happens. This is going to be my project car. This is going to be my balls to the wall. Well, not balls to the wall, but it's gonna be my drift car. I'm a huge fan of drifting. I've always liked it. I've actually already done some donuts in the car in closed areas. But yeah, so I'm planning to make this car it's hard to explain it. So I want to keep it streetable. First of all, I'm going to keep it stock engine and drivetrain wise, at least for the first year or two, simply because I want something reliable. I want something street legal as far as emissions go, because I live in California and emissions are a pain here. So I want to do those two things, and I think the 4.6 liter V8 is good enough, I think, for what I want it to do. I just want a car to learn on, and to eventually, as I get better, to improve with and improve the car as I improve my skill. Okay, stock the engine makes around 200 horsepower I think, and around 280 foot-pounds of torque, or 285. So this car has 170,000-ish miles on it. The odometer doesn't work. So it's probably lost, I don't know, like 30 in each department. Probably makes around 250-ish foot-pounds of torque, which is, it's fine, it's enough. But yeah, let's see more about the car. The car was $500 on Craigslist. It technically fired up and ran. The only problem is it had an intake manifold. It had a bad intake manifold. These cars are notorious for having a bad intake manifold, where it has a plastic crossover for the coolant, and from one side of the engine to the other, and it cracks because it's plastic, and then you're spilling coolant everywhere. So technically, the car did run. You could turn the key and it'd start up. You'd just be spilling coolant everywhere, and you'd overheat within 5 minutes of driving it. So the car was actually up in LA. I live in Northern County, San Diego, so it's like an hour-and-a-half drive from here. And originally when I purchased the car, or not when I purchased it, when I messaged the owner to purchase the car, he said it just needs an intake manifold gasket and spark plugs and it'll run. So I took his word. I bought the manifold gasket, which is 20 bucks. I took the spark plugs. I went up there and I purchased the car. First of all, I was gonna purchase this car no matter what. It was a good deal, 500 bucks for a car that runs. But I purchased the car and I took the intake manifold gasket out, which is a pain in the ass. It's about like an hour's worth of labor. Now that I know how to do it and I'm familiar with it and I've done it multiple times, I know it's still a crappy task to do, but it's doable. And so I went up there, I did it, and when I took it off, I saw the intake manifold. The manifold gasket was bad, which, you know, it was bad, so technically he wasn't wrong. It was kind of wrong, but it also had the intake manifold itself was cracked and it was bad, and I was like, so I just didn't know what to do. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put the new intake manifold gasket on, I'm gonna put the new intake manifold on, or the same one that it had, and I'm just gonna hope that the new manifold gasket is just enough to hold it and to just drive it home. As long as it gets home, it doesn't matter if the car overheats. Shit, I'll buy a new engine if I have to. If it overheats and it gets here and everything's melted, as long as it gets here, I don't care. So I tried it. I turned it on and it was spewing coolant everywhere. So I had to call it a night. I had work the next day. So I came home. I had the title of the car, I had the keys, I had everything for the car. I even took the battery out and I took it with me so that no one would try to take the car. But yeah, so I came back home. I ordered a new intake manifold. And the next weekend, I did this like in the middle of the week. The next weekend, I went ahead, I went with my dad actually. We went up there, we got the car, I put the new intake manifold in. I actually took the intake manifold gasket out because I bought a new intake manifold that didn't require that gasket. So new intake manifold, turn the key, car won't start. So turned out battery was flat. So go to the auto parts store, bought a new battery, like $100. The cheapest battery I could find, because like I said, I'm just trying to get this car home. I don't care about what it has right now. As long as it gets home, we're good. Bought a new battery, put the new battery in it, car starts perfectly. It's loud. It has a muffler delete. Pretty much it has the cat's straight pipe. It's straight pipe from the cat's back. But yeah, so it starts up just fine. It's loud. awesome. I'm super excited at this point, but there's this really loud hissing noise coming from the engine, and it was so loud that I didn't even think it was a vacuum leak, but I knew something was wrong, but it was a vacuum leak. And I drove it down like that. I drove it down from LA. I drove about, I think it was 90 miles. I drove 90 miles on the car with it without an O-ring for the injector. One of the injectors was missing an O-ring completely, just nothing there. It's just pure injector. So that's where that loud hissing noise was coming from, and that's why the car had a huge vacuum leak all the way down here. And I actually drove it to school and back a couple of days just so I can check a couple things on the car, because I'm going to automotive school, so I could use the lifts and bring it up and just check it out. And it wasn't until like 2 weeks later that I was able to find what was wrong, what was causing that huge vacuum leak, because it was idling horribly. It was horrible. It was super hot. It was like at one point I checked the exhaust at the bottom, and it was glowing red because of how lean it was running. And I know it was bad for the car, but I replaced the O-ring, or I put a new O-ring in. I didn't replace it because there's nothing to replace. I did that, and the car, it's awesome now. It has a check engine light for an O2 sensor on the other side, a bank one, sensor one. I already bought that. I'm gonna put that in as soon as I do a couple of other things to it. I'm gonna do that. New headlight, as you saw, I'm missing a side marker on that side. I actually have that right here. New headlights for all of them because they're a little fogged up, and they're 50 bucks. New headlights for 50 bucks, why not? Instead of having to take those off and polish them up and do all that good stuff and then clear coat them. Yeah, no. I just don't have time. But yeah, so it also, another issue the car has is the clutch. It's going out. It was fine when I got it. It would only slip in like 3rd, 4th, and 5th gear. But 1st and 2nd were fine. So driving in the city, driving here and there, it was fine as long as I didn't, fucking step on it. It was drivable. But now it's gotten to the point where I have to drive like a complete grandma and go like 40 in a 60. It's really bad. So I bought a new clutch. I already have it in my room. I have pretty much everything except for the rear main seal, which is something I want to replace while I'm down there. And I might also replace the clutch line that goes to your pedal, just because it's almost a 200,000 mile car. I'm pretty sure that line is stretched out. But yeah. Oh yeah, another thing I forgot to mention about that beautiful trip, those couple of trips I had to take up to even get the car. Not only was the battery flat, and it had a bad intake manifold, and the O2 or the O-ring was missing from the injector, it also had a bad alternator. So when I turned the key and it turned on that second time, when I went and put the new battery in and all that good stuff, when I turned the key on it and it turned on, it works great. And I started driving it back with my dad. We took it to the gas station and we filled it up, and we started driving back, and like 10 miles into our trip, car turns off. It just turns off. And it was like 200 bucks. But I bought a new alternator for it. On the side of the freeway, we replaced it. Luckily I knew how to do it, because in order to remove the intake manifold, you actually have to remove the alternator in that process, and it's really simple. And I had all the tools to do it since I had just replaced the intake manifold. So side of the freeway, I replaced the alternator, turn it on. No, I wasn't able to turn it on because the battery was drained, because the tow truck driver, when it turned off, he was like, oh yeah, bad alternator. And then instead of charging my battery, so when I got the new alternator in, he just left. Which I can't blame him, but he helped me out. But yeah, so the car, the battery was flat. Obviously, in order to charge it, I have to have the car running. So on the side of the freeway, I was like, all right, Dad, we have to push start it. And so he pushes it. I'm in the driver's seat with the door open, pushing on the A-pillar. I push. When I feel it's going fast enough, I get in, put it in first, drop the clutch, car turns on. I rev it out to make sure it doesn't turn off or anything. Car's running fine. And at this point, it was pitch black outside. It was really late at night. It was like 11 p.m. And I was like, look, I need to get home. I need to get this car home. It's still having that bad vacuum leak that's horrible and overheating and doing all that bad stuff. But I was like, look, the car's on. I'm not risking it. I revved it. My dad was still like behind the car like, oh yeah, it started. And I was just like, I'm out of here. So I put in first gear, I floor it, I get out, and I just get on the freeway and I start driving home. And my dad, he didn't catch up to me like until 20 minutes later, like a couple miles down the road. And yeah, so that night I got home. I was so excited to get the car here. From the drive all the way down here, so since it had this huge vacuum leak, it was driving really weird. I couldn't rev it out too much, and it was backfiring real bad. But I couldn't rev it out too much. It didn't have too much power, and if I tried putting it in 5th gear in the freeway, it would bog down really bad. So I drove it all the way down here going 70, 80 in like 3rd and 4th gear without hitting 5th gear ever. Because even going 80 miles per hour, going into 5th gear, it would bog down and it'd be really weird. So it was too sketchy for me. So I just drove it down here in 3rd and 4th gear. It made it down here. The car seems fine. Luckily, I'm so blessed and so lucky that nothing else went wrong in the process. But yeah, that's how I got it down. Car has been driving great except for the clutch. And yeah, there's a lot of things to do with it. A lot of things I'm gonna have to change. Another little thing the car has is the gauge cluster. It wouldn't light up. It has an aftermarket. I know now what it is. It has an Indie Glow aftermarket like LED lights and a little like thing to change the color and like the brightness and stuff, and it doesn't work. So that's why the gauge cluster doesn't light up. Figures aftermarket stuff just does that sometimes. And I'm planning to just go to the junkyard. Planning to just go to the junkyard and buy a new gauge, or buy a gauge cluster from a stock gauge cluster from from just another Mustang, and putting that in, and it should work just fine because they just bypassed the. It'll work. Hopefully it'll work. But yeah, so I'm gonna do that so I can actually see what speed I'm going at night, because right now all I have is nothing really. The lights are horrible on it, probably because they're fogged up, and they also have like a blue light. I don't think they're LEDs. I'm honestly not sure what they are, but the lights are horrible. I can't see anything at night. I can see like 2 feet in front of me, and that's it. So that's why $50 lights, can't go wrong. If anything, I'll buy new bulbs. I'm gonna try to see what they are with those. These should have some lights in them, some bulbs in them, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. I'm pretty sure they have bulbs in them, but I'm pretty sure they're really like, yeah, they're like the cheapest bulbs they could put in there. So that's another thing I'm gonna do. And I might rebuild the diff in the car, just because I did a burnout I've done a couple of burnouts in the car. I filmed one of them, so hopefully you get to see that. Or you might have already seen it. I might put in the beginning of the video. But yeah, so car has an LSD. One of the times I did a burnout, it only did one wheel. Another time it did two wheels. So I'm not sure if the diff is going out, the LSD is going out, or what's going on with that. So I might try to open the diff. I want to do all the fluids in the car, tranny fluid, diff fluid, oil, coolant. I want to do everything. I just don't have time or the money right now, since I just spent $500 on the car, $200 on an intake manifold, $200 on an alternator, and $100 on a new battery. What was going to be a $500 car turned into double the price pretty much. And then this stuff, and then I put new tires in the front. Yeah, so the car is getting a little expensive right now, but I'm saving up. I'm gonna try to get it up. I just bought the new clutch as well. That was a good amount of money. I want to put that in soon so I can drive it again, because ever since I broke the car, or ever since the clutch has been going out, I haven't been driving it. Before that I was driving it a little too much, I think. But yeah, so there's a lot of things I'm going to do to it. Like I said, it's going to be my drift car project build, and I'm super excited. I've wanted to do this for so long, and I finally have the means to do it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did enjoy, please leave a like if you want to. I'm not going to force you to do anything. If you didn't, I'm sorry. Maybe you'll like the next one. This is going to be a journey that I'm going to enjoy a lot. I'm going to have a lot of headaches, and I'm going to have to do a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it in the end. And I really hope you stick through to watch me finish it, or who knows, maybe I'll never finish and I'll always be working on it, which is the thing with project cars. But yeah, make sure you stay tuned to see what happens with this car and to see the transformation that we're about to make. Thank you once again. Peace out.